certainly made an impact off the bench and was outstanding defensively. Also hit a couple of big threes in the game, and that really was the turning point and the story of the entire first half. And it's something that we talked about in the pregame tonight. Joe Mazzulla, in his press conference, mentioned that there were no restrictions when it came to Kristaps Porzingis, but there was a follow-up to it where, will he be starting tonight? And he just kind of blew past it, and it's something I've been thinking about. And just looking at the line real quick, Porzingis played 21 minutes tonight. He shot 8 of 13 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown, hit both his free throws, had 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, all of them were important, and finished with 20 points in the game. He was a plus 13. So his 21 minutes, yeah, he helped out off their bench when it came to their bench points. I believe they only really got a couple of threes from Sam Hauser early on in that game, but it was all Porzingis early as Tatum had some struggles offensively, had some turnovers as well, and Jaylen Brown didn't really get started. So let's welcome in Saron Battle. And Saron, we talked about it. What was Porzingis going to come off the bench or not? I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it could be something interesting if they wanted to at least restrict his minutes. Oh my, he came into the game. It was a mismatch right away, but his shooting, his rebounding, his block shots, the way he ran the court, he was a spark and certainly led them out to a 37-point quarter.
Yeah, his impact defensively was felt immediately. They just stopped driving, or when they did it was a block, or guys were pump faking and allowed the Celtics to collapse. You see Holiday get in there when they're pump faking. You see Tatum come over and help when Porzingis was in there. And I think his defense sparked the offensive run. It was getting stops, kick out. Porzingis was a trail man. He hit a 3. Then they started posting him up at the foul line. And I think by the third time they did that with Porzingis, you literally can see Dallas looking at each other like, we didn't game plan for this. We weren't prepared for this. And this guy is not Rudy Gobert. He's somebody we have to defend, and he got them a couple dunks, free throw jumpers, 3-pointers, and he played limited minutes, but was dominant in the little time he was out there. He absolutely sparked the run, and I think it was more of it just put fear into Dallas. Like, you can see them not have an answer for him, and it just opened it up for everybody, and the floodgates opened, and it really was no turning back after that.
What a spark. He looked good. Right. Maybe he looked a little rusty second half, when he already went on his big run, but 20 points in 21 minutes. I mean, you just think about that for a guy who hasn't played since April 29th. It's the story. It's the story of tonight. We can get into some other things here, but the talk was, do they need him to win a championship? It looks like tonight they do, but it was the tone setter. It was against his former team. Like, we're looking at all these storylines, and here he is coming off the bench. I have to look this up. I got to see how many times in his career he's come off the bench. But that type of offense, you said defensive. I agree with you. He had a couple of blocks. He had a nice one on Kyrie and another one on Luka Doncic as well. It was almost like he knew when they were going to the basket, when they were driving to the basket. And just another thing tonight. Maybe he knew about it because their assist numbers were horrible. Yeah. They got 23-9. They got out-assisted tonight by the Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, and you got to give the coaching staff credit because they were prepared for everything. You didn't see Luka getting all those lobs. He would get to the paint, and he was looking to drop those passes off, but the Celtics were waiting on him. I think Tatum was dominant on that end, waiting on those lobs. That's why he got so many rebounds. He was waiting down there for those plays. He was sniffing it out. He saw Luka make his move. You see Tatum sprint to one block, Porzingis on another block, or Al Horford, whoever it was, and they were boxing guys out. They called Porzingis on a cheap foul when he guessed the lob so good that he boxed the guy out before he even jumped. And it was like, they sniffed this out. And with Lively and Gafford, they don't have offensive post moves where they get the ball and they can score on their own. So all they have is the lobs or putbacks, putback dunks and stuff like that. Celtics took all that away and they had no other options. So now it's just Kyrie and Luka playing iso ball. It was NBA Jam for them. Just dribble, see what I can get. And Luka only getting 1 assist. They're never going to win a game in the series like that. Kyrie, I think, only had 2. And I mean, it was a dominant defensive effort, led to great offense. Brown blocking shots, Tatum blocking shots, Porzingis, Holiday as usual, steals, Derek White steals. Al Horford, I think, was a good tone setter early in the game with his defense and hitting some threes early on. I think he hit 4 threes tonight himself. So it was a good team effort from those guys. But Porzingis is the difference between beating a team by 15 and getting up 30. That's the difference in Porzingis. Can they beat Dallas without him? They had good runs when he wasn't in the game, but he makes the game. He's the reason that they have massive blowouts. These 25-point wins and leads is because of Porzingis, and that's the difference he makes on this team.
All right, Joe Mazzulla is at the podium right now after the win.
What led to going with Kristaps off the bench here, and what allowed him to get off to that start he did in the first half?
Yeah, the starter gave us the best chance to win, and he was great on both ends of the floor. Defensive execution, game plan, fighting for a spot in the offensive end, being physical, and making plays on both ends of the floor. So I thought he played great, and that's the KP that helped us get to where we are today.
What did you see from Jayson and the pressure he kind of drew defensively and how he played around that?
Yeah, just poise. They have a great defensive system, great defensive team, throw a bunch of stuff at you. Different spacings, different coverages, and the poise to just figure it out, make the right play is going to be the most important thing. I thought he had that, throughout the game.
Dave over here on the left side.
The Mavs were able to cut it to 8 in the third quarter. You guys respond with a 14-0 run, and Kristaps is making plays during that run as well. Just how big was that moment, and for him to continue his impact after that hot start?
Yeah, game management's going to be important. This is a great team. They have a tendency to go on great runs, and that's going to happen. And so you have to be able to manage those with poise and execution, know why those runs are being made, and quickly put a stop to them with high-level execution. So KP was a huge part of that run. But I liked the way we handled their run, because that's going to happen. You're not going to stop that. You just have to have the poise and the toughness to work through it. I thought our guys did that.
Jake, fifth row towards the center.
Joe, Jaylen was your leading scorer tonight, but defensively, the 3 blocks, guarding Luka in space. What can you say about his effort on that side of the ball?
Yeah, what you saw tonight is kind of the challenge he took for himself coming into the year, not wanting to be defined by one thing, wanting to make plays, wanting to be a well-rounded player and get better and better. And so his spacing, his ball movement, his defense on ball and off ball. Usually when you give up a run and your offense gets a little stagnant, your defense goes with it. And tonight our defense kept us in it. And that's really important, is to have that defensive mindset. And some of those plays that Jaylen made were a part of that.
Second row on your left.
Coach Shane with Forbes. You mentioned the ball movement. Just kind of curious what you've seen in terms of when Jayson or Jaylen draw 2, the ability to kick out and get the machine moving.
Yeah, I think a couple of great passes. JT stuck out. The one Jaylen threw to Al in the corner. I think it was either Jaylen or JT. But that's what those guys do. They have the ability to draw 2 guys, and the most important thing is making the right play over and over again, doing what's best for the team, reading the 2-on-1s. And when they're at their best, those guys are able to do that. And, I thought their decision-making helped control the game, especially when they went on that run. We were able to get that back. We went back to, with JT there, and he was able to help us sustain that with high-level execution. So it's really important when those guys do that.
Third row on your left.
Joe, when did you make the decision to bring Kristaps off the bench, and did you have to have a conversation with him about that, and how did that go?
Yeah, I always talk to the players about what we think is best for the team, and that's that. Yeah.
And when did you make that decision?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Front row.
Back to the timeout. What did you say? What did you see when they came off the court? Can you sort of take us back to that?
Which, the one when they cut it to 8?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, it's the NBA Finals. You're playing against a great team, and they're going to make runs. And so just building awareness to why the run was made. And, that team does a great job of making defensive adjustments on the fly. And sometimes it takes us a possession or 2 to recognize that. And so just understanding the run, what can we do to change it? And, how can we just get better coming out of that? And so I thought the guys' poise out of that timeout was big, and that's going to happen. They're going to go on more runs, and we're going to have to fight through.
So the timeout ends, they go back out to the court. Before you go on that run, did you feel at that moment when the timeout ended that your message had been received?
Yeah. So
over here on the left, second row.
Joe, a couple of things you preach consistently: your physicality and also details. What did you see in Game 1, in that regard, on both sides of the basketball, particularly with the physicality and meeting their physicality?
Yeah, again, I thought our defensive mindset, our defensive execution, our defensive game plan, our positioning, we had the right intentions. And I thought we played really physical for the most part, defender without fouler. And, on the offensive end, we made some physical drives. And so that's the key there, is just having the physical mindset on both ends of the floor.
Porzingis' impact on offense obviously was significant, but perhaps even more impactful defensively, what he was able to do around the rim?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know that the storyline has to be, what's he going to look like, because he took he was off for a month, but that's what he's been doing his whole career. The guy's a great player. He's been great for us. The reason why we're here is because of what he's done. So it doesn't matter how long it takes off. The guy's going to make plays because of how talented he is and the work that he puts in. And, what he did for us tonight is big, and I need that for the rest of the series.
Second row on your right.
Joe, when the Mavs were making their big run, your guys' offense sort of, I don't want to say stalled out a little bit, but you guys weren't getting as easy buckets. Did you see something that they changed that caused that, or was it just a matter of you guys not making the same shots?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you mentioned the timeout. You said, you talked to them, you explained that you were playing the same way. Was there anything any of the guys said during that timeout or around that time that, sort of to each other? Did you notice any of that?
No, I mean, out of the 3 minutes, 2.5 of it, they're by themselves. So, they communicate well with each other. They have great relationships. So I'm sure during the time the coaches are meeting that they're having that communication with each other. They do a good job of communicating with each other throughout the game.
Front row here on the left.
Joe, you've continuously stressed the importance of defense. They didn't have a 25-point quarter tonight. What did you like on the defensive end tonight?
Just sticking with the game plan. Game plan execution is very important. Having a clear understanding of what you have to take away on every possession. And just knowing that in order to defend these guys at a high level, you have to play efficient offense. And I thought we did that for the majority of the game, obviously, at the run. There weren't many live ball turnovers, and so we missed some open shots. They forced us into a couple of tough shots, but we were able to manage the transitions of the game with our offensive execution and our defensive game plan.
Last two, second row in the center and over here.
You guys took away two of their preferred methods of scoring, lobs and corner threes. They didn't make a corner three until the final minute of the game and only attempted 3 overall. What was the key to just sustaining that and taking away those sources of offense?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're going to make a lot of adjustments and they're going to do a lot of great things because of the talent that they have. So we just have to execute the game plan, communicate coverages, communicate matchups. Guys did a great job communicating to each other and keeping defense first.
Over here in this corner.
Joe, you held the team, the Mavericks, to a total of 9 assists during the game. I think Luka had 1 assist. Kyrie had 2 assists. I mean, what was the key to that, stifling their passing lane and stifling their playmaking abilities?
Yeah, just good individual defense. Everybody's going to take on the challenge of guarding those guys. They're an amazing team, and they put a ton of pressure on you in different ways with their ability to score. And everyone's going to take their matchup, personal, have personal pride in individual defense.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Again, a reminder for...
All right, let's Coach Joe Mazzulla after tonight's game. We probably should have started with this, Serona. I think you were hinting defensively when we were talking about Porzingis. We did look it up. Porzingis came off the bench once in his career. So that was pretty interesting. The other thing is 89 points, and I'll look it up. But when they hold the team under 100, I believe I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure they're undefeated in the playoffs when they do that. So defensively, Joe Mazzulla's opening strategy, right, and then some of his defensive looks, the adjustments and the timeouts. He might not get credit for it, but did you hear a lot of the media talking about cut it to 8, cut it to 8, cut it to 8?
Yeah.
They didn't talk about anything else tonight, so maybe that's the national storyline here, but I thought Mazzulla's opening strategy worked. His defensive looks, his adjustments, and his timeouts all worked well.
Yeah, I think the big adjustment in the third quarter after that 8, they cut it to 8. He called the timeout, and immediately Tatum gets a layup. Brown draws a foul, gets free throws. Then I think Brown and Tatum go to basket again. They went to the basket like 4 straight times. Porzingis gets a dunk off a Tatum pass. They just went to the basket, put Dallas in foul trouble, got in the bonus, and they never looked back. This team, they went from the end of the second quarter, I want to say 2 minutes in the second quarter, to like 7 minutes in the third quarter, only made 1 shot. 8-point game, and they still had a 25-point lead in the fourth quarter. Excuse me. That's to me, it's amazing adjustments. That's poise, confidence, They believe in their game plan. They believe in their strategy. Cut it to 8, no problem. We'll push this back to 25. We had it to 29, cut it down. Let's push it right back up. That's showing the signs of dominance. And at times it looked like Luka was being dominant, but the defensive strategy, they made him work. He had trouble bringing the ball up. They kept picking his pockets. There was a couple times where he went and tried to hide in the corner offensively because he was tired. Jaylen Brown face guarded him 30 feet away. He was off in the corner, and Jaylen Brown was standing there with him like, you're never getting his ball back. And he didn't. And the Celtics locked down all the guys in the corners all night, like the reporter just asked them. You know, they kept him from the corner threes and the lobs. And you can see the Celtics make an effort on that. That's coaching. That's game plan and strategy. Things we question about Mazzulla going into the season. He's surely got better as the season's gone on. His in-game adjustments have been good. He's calling his timeouts, making the right adjustments. And I have nothing negative to say about Mazzulla and how they game plan for that game tonight. I know the national story is going to be, Kyrie just was cold. Kyrie just missed shots. Like, no, he was making tough shots. He was making some amazing shots, highly contested, but eventually they weren't going to fall. And I think the Celtics they put the clamps on this team, and they reminded everybody they're not Minnesota, they're not OKC, they're not the Clippers. They're the Celtics, and they were the best team in the league for a reason.
I saw a lot of offense tonight, but really I see 89 points.
Yeah.
It's a story. That's the story to me. We'll continue this, Saron. I do want to ask you about Jaylen Brown and also Jayson Tatum's night. Skaz and I and George were here all night long tonight, and we're just little side conversations about Tatum's night that I think we should really hit on. So we'll take a quick break. We got all your coverage, extended coverage here, and then we'll be on our flagship station, 98.5 The Sports Hub, until 1 a.m. tonight. So we'll take a quick break. We'll get back to the conversation here. I'm Joe Murray. Saron Battles here as well on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. All right, it's Joe Murray and Cerrone battle. Celtics win tonight. They take game one, only giving up 89 points, 107 to 89. Why don't we go to the podium here, Cerrone? Kristaps Porzingis speaking right now.
Coming back and it paid off, and we got the job done tonight and had a good game and happy about the result.
Dave over here on the left.
Kristaps, what did you think of the assignment to come off the bench, I think, just for the second time of your career, and how did you find a comfort zone basically from the minute you stepped on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, from day one, I came here and I said, I'll do whatever it takes to help this team win, right? And I think it was this situation, it made sense. And I didn't care. I knew I could prepare to come off the bench, which is something different for me. And that's what I did, and stepped into that role and embraced it and had a good game.
Adam over here on the left side, standing.
Kristaps, the other day you were asked, are you 100%? You kind of had this, long pause before you answered, and it got a lot of people nervous, wondering, what did that mean? Where were you at? Were you just messing with us? What was kind of the process, getting through that to this time now?
Yeah, no, it's hard to say because, all these thoughts, went through my mind in that moment. What do I answer? I don't want to, I want to say I'm fine, but obviously I haven't played. I haven't been out there. I haven't had the feel of, am I 100%, so... but tonight was a affirmation to myself, that I'm pretty good. Maybe I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty good, and I can play like this, and I can definitely add to this team.
During your first press conference with the Celtics, you were asked if you would be ready for the challenge of the playoffs, and you said, "I don't know." What has gone into preparing yourself for this stage over the years and over this season to kind of be ready for this, and not just that, but to get dropped into it after an injury?
What was the question?
What has prepared you to be ready for this stage, which you haven't been on, haven't been out of the first round?
Yeah, no, at the end of the day, it's just basketball, It's okay, it's higher intensity, it's more, intricacies of the game and stuff, more focus on little details, but at the end it's just basketball, and I've been doing this for a long time, and even if I have time off, I can jump right back in, and I feel the same way, and I get to my spots and I do so, whether it's playoffs, regular season, or whatever, it's I know how to do this, and that's it, just having that confidence going out there, whatever, first round or finals. Just going out there with full confidence and giving what I can to the team.
Gary, back right.
Kristaps, Gary Washington, Boston Globe. Was there a moment that you felt like yourself? I mean, you were joking with fans. That's what you usually do. You never seem to be serious. You always take everything so lighthearted. But was there a moment out there you were like, okay, I got it. This is me. When was that?
Even when that first quarter, right, when I checked in and start things going my way and stuff, I didn't even think about it. I was so in the moment and enjoying the moment and the crowd and everything, I don't know, it's like a blur to me right now. I have to rewatch the game, what happened and stuff, but I was completely just in the game, and that's the best feeling. I had the most fun and I hope to have more of those moments going forward.
Malika over here on the left.
Malika Andrews, ESPN. Kristaps, there's never been a player like yourself, a 20-point per game scorer in the regular season, to miss this much time in the playoffs and come back at all, let alone have this sort of impact. Was there ever a moment, as Gary said, of doubt or testing, or was it no, okay, here we go, I got this?
Not in the sense of am I gonna be okay? It was only physical. Am I gonna be good to go physically? Not skills wise. There was never at least for me, never no doubt. But of course, you have ups and downs throughout the game. All this stuff happens. But mainly for me was to get there physically, and once I felt pretty good, and the medical staff had my back, and we did everything correct to get to this point, and gave me the green light. I was good to go.
Steve on the right.
Thanks.
Front.
Back to Joe Mazzulla's decision to take you up.
All right, that's Kristaps Porzingis at the podium. Sounded confident, meaning he just said it right there that he always knew he had the ability, but how's his health? Sounds very confident. And I think once he realized he was okay and that they really handled this thing the right way and that his teammate and that the staff had his back, sounds like mentally he was ready to go, physically he was ready to go. He certainly showed it tonight. So just hearing him talk there, Cerrone, I feel like he's confident, right? And felt like they handled this the right way, and now he's ready to give it a little bit more. He's the only guy ever, I just looked this up, the only player ever in finals history to have 20 points in 21 minutes with 6 rebounds and 3 blocks. Only one ever to do that in that amount of minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I mean, imagine if he was at a full enough strength where he could have given them 35, 40 minutes tonight. I mean, they probably would have beat them by 30 plus. But I mean, you see his impact. You see his impact on Al Horford. Horford, to me, looked fresh, energized the whole game defensively. There was a couple times where Al got out on Kyrie Irving and had Kyrie slipping and sliding all over the place. He traveled a couple times, but they didn't call it. But I think it gave a spark to everybody. I think I mentioned this with you before when we was on. Porzingis coming back, putting Al back on the bench. Al setting screens and making passes opens things up for Hauser. You notice he was hitting his shots. There's a trickle-down effect from having a guy, a 7-footer with those skills out there. It sets everybody back to their comfortable roster spots, and you see a balanced attack offensively and defensively. And Dallas had no answer for that when he was on the floor. And one thing I think you got to watch for, the way Porzingis played, you saw Jason Kidd, he pivoted immediately. Lively in, what's the other kid? Gafford. Joe, they played less than 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. These are their 2 key guys everybody was hyping up. I heard on ESPN, I heard on Fox News, I heard on NBA TV radio that the Dallas Mavericks bigs are better than Boston. Shaq was even saying it earlier today on NBA TV before the game. Those guys didn't even stay on the court for 20 minutes because Jason Kidd saw that they had nothing for the Celtics, and he had to scramble, go small, get guys in or out. Lively ends up in foul trouble. Porzingis just caused them to pull their hair out and just be completely just in shambles, trying to figure out how to defend or how to score against the Celtics defense when he was on the court. And he made a huge difference. And again, give the coaching staff credit for holding him out, not rushing him back. Give the team credit for sweeping the Pacers so he can get more rest, get more days off. And you see the results of it. And hey, if this is the best game in the series, but he steals you a game, he did his job. He did his job for the season by giving you home court and giving you a game in the NBA Finals. And, if he's limping a little tired rest of the way, it's going to be up to the rest of the guys. But Porzingis, he's earned his money so far this season, and he did tonight.
That's a great point about Porzingis coming in, and then, Horford goes back to play with some of the other guys. Hauser finally had 6 points, hit another basket later on, but those guys had slow starts with Porzingis out. Tonight it was just kind of all meshed together because he was back in the. That's a good point. And then I just wanted to mention also, it was Porzingis who went to Mazzulla and said maybe I should come off the bench. So I still give Mazzulla credit for doing it.
Yeah.
But good on Porzingis to say, hey, if you think that, I want to be a part of this, but if you think what you guys are doing is great, I'd be. So I'm interested to see what they do in Game 2. I'm already looking ahead. I do want to celebrate tonight, but I'm already looking ahead. And if
it's a series, man.
If he feels confident, though, it might be worth putting him in Game 2 just to see, right? Because they're going to have 2 days off. Then they'll have a little bit more time heading into Game 3. Mm-hmm. Might be something for them to consider. Real quick before we take a break, I thought Jaylen Brown once again was outstanding. He's going to go to the podium in a little bit, but I thought he was really good tonight. The thunderous dunk. He was just composed, played really good defense as well. He finished he finished the night with, 22 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He also had 3 blocks on the night. Only 2 turnovers for him. They were
3 steals, too.
3 steals. I was going to say that, too. But his handle. And some of one of the steals he had, remember he scored, got the steal, and then the thunderous dunk again. He had like 5-point plays off defense tonight. He was outstanding. I thought he was, besides Porzingis, their best offensive player.
Yeah, he was. He had it going. I mean, he had good balance tonight. He had it going. And look, I mean, to me, defensively is where he sent the message. I think him, all of them, all their stars play well defensively. And the whole debate about which duo is better, it is Luka, Kyrie, the offense. All we talked about was the offense. Tatum and Brown showed defensively that there's no equal because they're dominant on both sides of the ball. They're dominant on the glass. They're dominant defensively. They're dominant in the paint. They're dominant from the outside. When they get it going from the outside, you have no shot at beating them. They were dominant on both ends, whereas the other two stars were very one-dimensional ISO ball, gave you nothing on the defensive end. I mean, Luka had a couple weird strips earlier. I mean, a lot of them look like fouls, but he got away with it because he's Luka. He's a superstar. I get that. But, I mean, it's Brown played a spectacular game. He needs to make his free throws, though. He could have had a really big night if he hit his free throws. But other than that, I really can't complain or say anything negative about Brown. I thought he brought it on both ends. I think the team did as well. But Jaylen Brown probably was, all in all, with the amount of minutes he played, he was probably your best player tonight.
All right, Jerome Battles here. I'm Joe Murray. We'll have more reaction to the Celtics Game 1 win tonight coming up next here on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports of Celtics Radio Network.
Clinton Commercial Banking at Clinton Savings Bank. We're the able bank. Knowledgeable, approachable, and reliable. Ready to answer your call at 9
22, 14 straight. A deluge at the end of one, a deluge at the end of three.
Celtics win 107-89 tonight. They take game one of the NBA Finals. They'll have 2 days off. And then we'll come back for game two. Sarone Battles here. I'm Joe Murray. We talked about Jaylen Brown's night. Let's just talk about Jayson Tatum for a minute here. Finished with 16 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, had 1 block. I think you'll see the 6 turnovers. It's funny, throughout the night, we were talking about it. He was triple teamed at times tonight. And I think he was trying. It's funny, Saron, he was still trying to win the battle, the 3-on-1 battle. So as the game progressed, he started to realize if he can find his spots, he can start dishing the ball, and he certainly did that. So I thought Tatum was really good tonight. Like, the people will highlight that 6 turnovers. He had some really key. He had 2 offensive rebounds that were key, especially when they cut it to 8 points. He had a 3. He shot a 3 that he got fouled, hit three baskets on as well. And he missed a free throw. But overall, I thought he was really good tonight. He was patient. He was a plus 19. Only real critical thing was I thought he had the 6 turnovers, and in some of them they were not the greatest time for it.
No, and a few of them he overpassed. He was getting in the paint all night. Like you said, there was 3 guys there, and he would try and like wrap around past the Holiday or kick out to Al Horford in the corner. And out of the 6, I want to say 3 of them were miscommunication because he'd drive 3 guys, he'd swing it out to the corner, and the guy wasn't there, or the pass was high. And after a while, I'm sitting there with my son, and it's like, if you get that close to the paint, just shoot it. And he wasn't shooting. He wasn't taking the jump hook, the little push shot, the little float push shot he normally takes. He knew he was being doubled and tripled on those catches and was swinging it before he even looked, because Dallas was waiting on him to kick it out. Like, we know once he gets downhill, he's going to kick it out to one of these shooters. And that's the power of Jason Kidd. He's really good at seeing stuff like that. Told his guys to be ready for it. And they were getting steals off him. One went off his leg. And even Doris Burke said he wasn't going to get to the line. The refs wasn't giving him nothing when he got to that lane. But like I said, at the end of the day, I think he had the highest plus minus in the game. And he makes an impact when he's on the court. He's the reason that guys get open threes. When he's tripled, somebody's open. If he's doubled, somebody's open. At one point, he's dribbling at the top of the key. And if you could have paused the TV, all 5 players are looking at Jayson Tatum. And there's guys open in the corners on both corners. And they got a Derek White 3 out of that. And it's because of him, guys are open, getting these open shots and getting the layups. And as long as he's drawing a double team and kicking, I'm fine with it. The shots eventually fall. Before that game tonight, I think he was getting like 33 a game against Dallas this season. So when he wants to get downhill against his team, he can. He just has to decide either to shoot the ball or make a clean pass in that corner instead of trying to make a impossible pass against tough coverage.
All right, Jaylen Brown at the podium after the Celtics 107-89 win.
Jaylen, you've talked all year about over here wanting to have the big matchups show that you can lead the way defensively. You have the big matchup to start this game with Luka, but you also, on the other end, were able to play within yourself while being aggressive. How difficult is that balance on the biggest stage to have those responsibilities, and how much do you relish that?
I think it's a full team effort. And, Luka Doncic still at 30 and 10, so got to do a better job. But, it's a full team effort. And, tonight I got lucky a few times, but we got to get ready for game 2.
Left side here in the second row.
Jaylen, what stood out to you most about the performance tonight from the group? What did you like the most about the way you guys competed?
I think defensively, I thought we made some big time plays. When they cut it to 8, that's when the game started. And I liked how our team responded. We stayed composed. Offensively, we got to our spacing and was able to push that lead back out and make some plays on offense. That was a big third quarter.
On the left side here and back.
Hi, Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Jaylen, what were you feeling at the end of the third when you rejected Kyrie under the basket and then went down the court for the big 3-point shot?
What was I feeling? Just trying to make some plays, get my team going. Defense, is what we got to hang our hat on. And right there, that was an example of that.
Over in the back, right, Jake.
Jaylen, along those lines, from like a typical 7-footer standpoint, like Kristaps is supposed to be the backline rim protector, anchor of this defense. What's your thought process as you're trying to go up and contest a drive when you're in the backline there?
It just depends. It just depends on who you're on. It just depends on the spacing of the game, and we got to be able to make plays. And right there, it was just I was a low guy. I was on some of those bigs. You don't want to give up lobs. That's one thing that we made an emphasis on. So I don't want to step up too much and give those lobs, but I was able to cat and mouse a little bit and then make some plays at the rim.
John in the back left.
Jaylen, John Corrales, Boston Sports Journal. When you guys lost that lead, it gets down from 29 to 8. What's going through your head? We haven't seen this level of response maybe in the past, but this year you guys have been able to kind of turn that around a little bit. What goes into that kind of response?
That's the game right there. It's not going to be perfect. It's a long series. I expect them game 2 to come out with tremendous force and maybe try to hit us in the mouth. So, that's the game. When a team goes on a run, you gotta manage it. You gotta stay composed, and you gotta keep playing basketball. It's almost like you just have short-term memory. A little bit like the team's not even on a run. You got to play smart basketball, and make great plays to get our flow back. And I think in that third quarter, I got to the free throw line. I think that helped us get going. Then we made some reads. I made a kick out to the corner. Al got a 3. We was able to get some good offensive going, but getting to that paint, being solid, being composed was what allowed us to push that lead back out.
Steve in the front right.
Steve Buckley from The Athletic. Jaylen, back to the 8-point deficit lead. Joe said something like we asked him what he said during that timeout. He said, I talked for 30 seconds. They're on the bench. They're talking for 2.5 minutes. So I guess what I'm asking is, what did Joe say for 30 seconds, and what did you guys say to each other for 2.5 minutes?
We just said, just breathe. This is the game is starting now. Just breathe. This is a moment where, our experience shines through. Just breathe. Just keep playing basketball. If you got a shot that's open, take it with confidence. No turnovers. Take care of the basketball and just play our game. We got to get some stops. They made some big shots, and just navigate the run. That was it.
Tim standing on the left.
Tim Bondos from ESPN. Jaylen, a couple of years ago, you guys were obviously in the finals. Now you're back 2 years later. The two biggest differences are having Drew and Kristaps here with you guys. How much of an impact did the two of them make tonight, and what did they show in terms of the differences they've made to your team over the past year to get you to the position you guys are in?
Yeah, 2 great additions between Kristaps and Drew. And any given night, it could be any of us, And Kristaps had a monster game for us. Just his presence, shooting the ball, and then be able to attack those switches and mismatches. He made them pay every time, and that's what we need going forward in the series. Kristaps was big, but those other guys, Derek White, Drew Holiday, JT, they all can get going at any point in time. So that's the beauty of our team. We just gotta, every game has its own story. We just gotta stay ready, stay composed, and take it one game at a time.
Vinny, third row on the right.
Jaylen, Vince Goodwill, Yahoo Sports. It looks like from earlier in the playoffs that you guys didn't need Porzingis. You guys got here with a 12-2 record and had a lot of rest. It seems like he completes you guys with the way he protects the rim and plays in the middle of the floor. Do you see it that way, that you guys are a complete top-to-bottom team now because he's back?
Yes. I think Kristaps has been great for us all season long. I mean, it's a big reason why we've been the best team in basketball, with record-wise at least, and having him back, and him playing well to that level he was during the season is so important for us, because you got another defender, another shooter out there that you have to respect. So that just opens it up for everybody else. Now, next game, I'm sure they'll make adjustments. We got to be able to read it on the fly and make plays. The guys got to step up. We need guys like Sam, Peyton to come in and step up. JT, everybody got to be ready to go.
You became the first Celtic in finals history to have at least 20 points.
That was Jaylen Brown at the podium. Just so you know, Cerrone, his MVP odds for final MVP was 650. I just took a look. It's plus 300. So just for those that might have dabbled on it, if you still like Jaylen Brown, you can get it at 3-1. So just keep your eyes on that one. But yeah, the plus 650 was something I might have dabbled on. So looking good after one game so far.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, he's doing his job. I mean, he's capitalizing on not seeing the defense shade his way. He's doing what he's supposed to do. This is something that, me and you last year against Miami got on the whole time. He has to be aggressive when he's got when he's got Max Strus on him, because Tatum's got Jimmy Butler and Bam doubling him in corners. He's got to take advantage of the weaker guy on the weak side. And he's been doing that in this playoffs. He's been doing it all season. And he's going to have room to work. And he's working now. He's doing his thing. And, hey, if you got the mismatch, take it. It's all about winning. Like Tatum said early in the playoffs, like everybody's been paid. Everybody's got their awards, whatever. It's all been done. Now the only object is to win. And he's taking full advantage of the opportunity. He's making his shots. He's being aggressive defensively. And, more power to him. I've been critical of him, but he hasn't played this good before. And he deserves all the glory he's getting right now. But this team is complete. They're dominant. They're so much better than Dallas. And it's going to take them having an ice-cold night for a whole game, not just a quarter, for them to lose to this Dallas team. I mean, it's the way it's been with this team. I mean, they had a terrible stretch between the second and third quarter, and Dallas, the best they can do is cut it to 8. And then they got to push back to 25+ because it's a dominant team. You do what you can to stop Tatum, Brown goes off. You do what you can to stop both of them, Porzingis has a tough stretch. Derek White quietly had a good game offensively. Holiday quietly got in, got a lot of layups, key plays late in the game that put it away. It's just a dominant team that had a dominant game. And what's going to happen when they all really get going from 3? They haven't. Brown and Tatum haven't been hot from 3 yet. It's going to happen, and it's going to be real ugly. So Dallas has to find a way to win games before those guys find their shots, or it's going to be over really quick.
All right, we got game 2 on Sunday night. Come on back, everybody. We'll be here, of course, and we will do another hour of sports talk on our flagship station, 98.5 The Sports Hub, and we'll take your phone calls as well. Cerrone Battle will be here. Want to give some thanks tonight. Matt Stenberg, excellent job. James Scaramuzzino, the Jeremy Conley, and, of course, our buddy George Sepulveda as well. We're going to go on over to the network, and we will see everybody here on Sunday night for Game 2 right here on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network.
Celtics swarm the floor.
WBZFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub, Leslie Media Group Station.
Derek White, and maybe because it's Luka, we've seen so many crazy passes that look like one, but obviously we can't see anything from where we sit. Porzingis catch, deep 3, got it. Are you serious with this return for Porzingis? 7 of 9, 2 of 3 from distance, 18 points in 11 minutes, and the Celtics lead by 28.
I'm Joe Murray. Cerrone Battles here as well. Celtics win tonight, 107-89. We'll take your phone calls at 779-0985. I heard it was wild down on Causeway. Our old intern, Joe, was down there, came up here, Cerrone, and he goes, I've never seen anything like it before. And I thought he was over-exaggerating because he's new to the business. You know, your eyes blow up, you know. You're around it all. Nope. Jay Stu was down there. Everybody was down there and said it was absolutely wild. Our very own Nick Gemelli was just down there getting some street audio. So that should be good bright and early in the morning. And that's exactly how long we're taking you, at least till 1 a.m. tonight. So we're here for another hour. But we've kind of recapped it, Cerrone. You know, Porzingis' story of the night. We've credited Joe Mazzulla. And it was Porzingis who went to Mazzulla and said, I'd come off the bench. And Mazzulla used the strategy. We talked about Jaylen Brown's consistency. And now his number has gone from 600 to 300 for MVP. Tatum had a great night. There's one thing I want to give you credit for. By the way, I think we've all been very consistent, Skaz as well, that this is the best team in the NBA. We have said this for a while. I've always thought that this team could front run their way to a championship. And what I mean by that is they're just better than everybody else. They're just better. They're more talented. And to your point, what you mentioned a little while ago is that, yeah, they're going to have some bad nights shooting, right? Or they'll turn the ball over. And that's really the only one who beats the Celtics is themselves. So they have 3 more wins to go. I said Celtics in 5. I'm even more confident hearing Porzingis tonight. And just watching the fact that Dallas really couldn't play any defense. And do they even have a third scorer? I don't know. I mean, let's look at what they did tonight, right? Because Kyrie kind of mailed it in later in the game. He had 12 points and now has lost 11 straight. I mean, P.J. Washington's 14 points had to be on garbage points. I don't remember. Oh, he went 4 or 6 from the line.
He got to the line. He was aggressive rebounding and got some putbacks after they were blocking his shot off the glass. So, yeah, he wasn't what he was against, was it OKC? Yep. He went off in that series, but he wasn't even close to that.
But Jaden Hardy gave him a little, maybe they look to that in the next game. But Gafford tonight, 14 minutes, really didn't do much for him. And Jones hit that opening 3, and then I think he had a garbage bucket later on tonight. 89 points for this Dallas team. I feel like we're all going to talk about Porzingis and the points and the threes and all that. I just go to that number. Whenever they hold a team under 100, now I'm going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure they have not lost a game when they've held a team under 100.
No, and the thing I've been saying the longest, coming out of the Pacers series, people look at the Pacers as a trash team. They're not sexy. They weren't on TV a lot. And I don't know how many times I said it. That was the highest scoring team since 1984. The Pacers got up and down. They pushed the pace. They scored 123 a game. And the Celtics had to match that in order to beat them. High scoring games. They were dealing with an offense, not one guy, a one-man show, or 2 guys. That was a legit offense. Carlisle had them guys moving without the ball, cutting layups, efficient. That's a real offense. And I kept telling people, if they play Minnesota or Dallas, you're going to see a drop-off on offensive production because those teams, while they have more names, it's more iso ball. They play really slow, low pace. Sure enough, you see it tonight. Dallas playing real slow, real iso ball, no assists, getting almost predictable. You can see what was coming. No third scorers, no guys moving out the ball, no post scoring. And like I said, Gafford, Lively did nothing in the paint. They yanked Gafford after 14 minutes. Their main big man. Dallas just doesn't have any other options. It's how they play. Their only way of winning is to play the iso ball, wait for you to double on Luka. He kicks it out. They get open corner threes. Repeat. You playing one-on-one. He tries to take your center. Everything he scored was a switch with Porzingis or Al coming out. Luka dribble. Everyone stands around and watches. He cries to the refs and flicks it up to the rim, and half of them go in. And then repeat the same process. Kyrie on the other end, dribble, tries to make the most amazing shot in the world when he could have just taken a layup, and he either makes it or misses it. That's it. It's nothing real. It's no movement. So it's easier for the Celtics to defend. Look, the Celtics, they didn't play well offensively up to their standard. I mean, they shot with 47%, 30-something% from 3. They only took 80-something shots. This is a team you want to see close to 100 shots. They score 120 a night. They shoot a high percentage, make a bunch of threes, make their free throws. They didn't do none of that tonight, and it was a 25-point game with, 7 minutes left. So Dallas can play better, but I think the Celtics offensively could be better. Brown and Tatum they can go off for 60. Combined. But I just think Boston is just that much better. Dallas doesn't have a lot of options. You mentioned P.J. Washington. Man, he's he's the third best offensive player they got. And that's not going to be good enough to beat Holiday, to beat Derek White, Al Horford. And now people picked Celtics in 5, not knowing what Porzingis was going to be. Now looking at Porzingis like this, it's going to be hard for Dallas to win a game unless 7 guys from the Celtics go ice cold.
All right, Jerome Battles here. I'm Joe Murray. We got Skaz as well. And George is helping us out. Any sound that comes up, we'll certainly have it here for you guys tonight. The phone number is 617-779-0985. Let's take some calls, Cerrone. Let's start with Charles. He's in Hyde Park. What's up, Charles? Hey, Charles. Hi, Charles.
With you.
How's it going, bud?
I just feel like this is the Kyrie when he was with the Celtics. I don't think he has it, and I underestimate White and Holiday as guards. So I'll just say goodnight. Thank you, guys.
All right, so I actually wanted to bring this up. Holiday and White, I'm going to combine them, okay? They had 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. They were a plus 23 combined. Now, I saw you tweet this out earlier. Luka and Kyrie went for 42, 12, and 3. 12 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, I'm looking at their duo versus that duo. Like, on paper, you might see 42 to 27. I thought Holiday and White, at times, maybe they were giving Luka some shots, and they were blitzing him. They were backing off at times. Luka just got hot. I don't think they were doing anything defensively that was bad. But just Holiday and White are the best defensive unit. I think we might have. I think I claimed that earlier in the year. I might have put it on a T-shirt. I don't know. Maybe we can sell that when if there's a parade. But I know the numbers don't. 27, 10, and 10, and a plus 23 for Holiday and White. Defensively, I think they got in Kyrie's head. It wasn't the crowd because we'll let you hear what he said in a little while. But defensively, I think they were too much for the combo.
Yeah, you seen them. I think it was White. White got a steal on Luka. That led to a breakaway dunk on the breakaway layup on the other end. The same was Jaylen Brown. You seen the strategy with Peyton Pritchard. They had Pritchard guarding them tight, and when he turned his back, they were coming from behind for the steal, and White gets the layup. And like you said, people are just going to look at the scoring comparisons with the duos, but Holiday and White not only play good defense on Kyrie and Luka, they play good defense switching off on P.J. Washington and Derek Jones Jr., and gave those guys fits on that end of it. You've seen Holiday post P.J. Washington up like he was, 120 pounds. And he's a strong, athletic kid, and Holiday just took him to the basket for the quick layup. You've seen him crashing the offensive glass, making good passes. They overpassed a lot where I think they could have got some layups, but they were better. They were the better backcourt when you include the defensive end of the floor, which everybody overlooked for the last 9 days, which is crazy to me. They played better defense at show tonight, and the Celtics guards were just too much. Now, Luke and Kyrie are eventually going to get their numbers because their usage rate is so high. They have the ball so much. They're going to score. But if it's just them and everybody standing around watching, they can't beat the Celtics team playing that kind of ball. They're going to have to come up with a completely different strategy. But this is how they've played since Luke has been there. So I don't see them making too many more adjustments, but just more so praying they make shots, Celtics miss shots. And that's the only real strategy they can have going forward.
I want to get into Luka in just a little bit, but our buddy Benny's on the line. What's up, Benny?
Hey, Joe, Ron, what's going on?
What's up, man?
Listen, 1-0, great start. KP, great spark. And like you mentioned earlier, I think it was earlier this week when you first mentioned the idea of KP coming off the bench, and I told you, don't overcoach this. Make him start. Yeah, that's why I'm a fan, and I just call in. Great call by Joe, great call by KP, having him come off the bench, playing strong. Jaylen Brown aggressiveness was huge. His defense was impressive. How many people pick Luka's pocket at half court?
Mm-hmm.
going that slow. I mean, and they made Luka work for everything, not just on offense, on defense.
And he showed a limp after every single shot.
Oh my
Everyone
God!
he
Yeah,
missed.
we talked about that thing last night.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say about Luka. We did. Benny called in last night's round and said the same thing. I'm wondering now if this is going to be a storyline. Now is Luka's knee, right? Oh, get ready for it.
It's coming.
The path. And though they got Luka on a bad knee, get ready for it because he certainly was limping tonight.
Yeah,
Well, it's ridiculous. So they made him work on everything, which we talked about too. I wanted them to see them do on offense, on defense. I mean, he had 30 points on 26 shots. I'm pretty sure they'll mention 30 points without the 26 shots, though. Jaylen Brown, JT debate, because obviously we'll hear that. JB had a really good game, but I don't want to discredit what Tatum did. I thought he had a really good game as well. Looking at the stats, he out-rebounded both their bigs. Wow. Like, he was guarding their bigs down low and getting triple-teamed every time he drove inside the three-point line, and I thought he was making smart plays. 6 turnovers, yeah, nobody loves 6 turnovers, but triple-teamed and drawing that much attention. And really quick, all we heard was Celtics haven't played anybody like the Mavericks. It works both ways. Mavericks haven't played anybody like the Celtics. So the reason why we were the best team all season.
Thanks, Benny. Appreciate you. We have a quote from Tatum coming up in just a little bit. But yeah, I was going to bring this up on the other side, but there's the bunch of narratives. We've heard them all year long. I don't think we agree. The Celtics are the best team in the league. There wasn't much Dallas could do. They did hit some shots out of in the third quarter, and the Celtics didn't hit theirs and had some turnovers. Besides that, tonight though, it was a really just nice. All the aspects that Joe Mazzulla preaches, right? The margins, winning all the margins, felt like they did that tonight. But yeah, get ready for that. Get ready for it. Down 2-0, or just get ready for that.
Oh yeah,
he was on the injury report too.
Questionable. He's going to be questionable going forward because when they cut it to 8, he started looking at the crowd, making his little face. They showed it in super slow mo in 4K, and then they pushed it up back to 20. His face was all red, and he was rubbing his knee. Like, wait, what happened? Because it didn't happen on the defensive end because you wasn't playing defense. You were just standing there. But every time he missed a shot, he was grimacing. And then, Kyrie, he was sitting there with a little smirk on his face. I can see, this is what I didn't want to happen, but you kind of mentioned it. By the time you get to game 3 and it had been cooked twice already, or Luka's not 100%, and then Kyrie says the fan said something to him, and that becomes more of the story. Luka's knee, Kyrie's situation with the fans become a bigger story than the Celtics dominating this team. And I hope it doesn't turn into that. But you're right, man. When Luka started making them faces and looking like he was burned out and couldn't stand up, I said, here it comes. Here comes the strategy. Here comes the storylines about Luka's knee and the Celtics getting another break. Even though they beat Cleveland when Mitchell was there, they beat Indiana when Halliburton was there, and they smoked Dallas tonight when Luka and Kyrie were out there. But it's coming. If they lose again like they did tonight, Luka's going to be holding that knee and possibly be in street clothes by the time they get to game 4.
I wanted to bring this up. Shane's on the line in Rhode Island. Didn't hear much from the Celtics and the refs tonight, huh, Shane?
I loved the Celtics game tonight. Hey, Joe. Hey, Saron. Hey. I just wanted to say one thing specifically about the game. I liked pretty much all of it, but it was a very physical game, I thought, and the refs were letting it go that way, which I like. And I didn't see any Celtics complaining, really. A couple times, like raising their hands. But like I've seen all season, they would complain about every single thing. And I didn't see that. And I think that speaks to their mentality going into the series. And it makes me feel very confident.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. I agree. I didn't see too much of it tonight. And if anything, it was Luka, not the Celtics.
Oh, my God. Luka complained on every shot in the paint. Every single one. Even when he was getting the call. He got a couple calls on Derek White and then went right to the ref. I'm like, dude, you got the call. I think the fouls were equal. Free throws were basically equal. Neither one of them was making their free throws tonight. But he got the call and was still complaining and crying. And I'm like, where are all the people at that say Tatum cries too much? And it's like, you're clearly not watching everybody else. Luka cries every single trip down the court, and he did it again tonight. It just the game was so lopsided. Most of it, the refs was looking at it like, man, get back on defense. Don't even look at us. And it's going to continue. This is who he is. And eventually he's going to start getting those calls and getting to the line 20 times or whatever. But you have to remember, the Celtics were best in the league at not fouling. They didn't send teams to the line a lot. They managed to play defense without reaching a lot. I mean, Luka's real crafty, got some fouls that way. PJ Washington got some hustle fouls. I don't think Kyrie even got to the line. But the Celtics are very good at that. But I can see Dallas kind of playing on that going forward and trying to figure out a way to manufacture points. And by getting to the foul line is one of the only real ways they're going to be able to do that against the Celtics team.
All right, we'll take a quick break here. We'll continue to take your calls at 617-779-0985. We're also on YouTube, everybody. Come check us out. We had like 400 people watching earlier, which is outstanding after a Celtics win Game 1 of the NBA Finals. We'll hear from Jayson Tatum coming up after the break here, and we'll see what Skaz says tonight. We were talking all night. He was doing the game recap. Go check that out at 985thesportshub.com. Cerrone Battles here. I'm Joe Murray here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
for what it's turned out to be years until you got back to the stage? I know it's only one game, but sort of exercising those demons in game one, getting back there, getting out there, how did that feel?
It felt great. To be honest, I was nervous. I ain't gonna lie, I was nervous in like a anxious way, right? As like a little kid, it's surreal being in the finals. And you know, when you're young, I guess in your career, you think you always gonna go back. And last year was kind of like a wake up call when we didn't make it. So you know, getting back to this point and being here is really a big deal. And you know, we played well tonight. So a lot of things we feel like we could do better, but it definitely does feel good to win the first game. But we know that 2 years ago we won the first game, and you know the outcome of that series. So we still have a lot of work to do.
Battles here. We're going until 1 a.m. tonight. Game one in the books. Celtics win, holding the Mavs to just 89 points tonight. And that was Jayson Tatum. Said he had a little nerves. Do you think he started with nerves tonight, Saran?
Yeah, he was joking and laughing a lot in the tunnel and pregame, playing around, whatever. And maybe there was a nervousness to him. I mean, I think a few times he was beating guys to the basket and was, instead of being, you know, the aggressive, just take the layup type guy, he was kicking it out, kind of indecisive at times. But I think as the game went on, you seen them all kind of really slow down and kind of, you know, get their legs under him. But we'll see if he looks different to start off in game two. I mean, tonight, I think he only took one shot in the first quarter. He wasn't really shooting. He wasn't being aggressive with the ball, which is kind of the way he's been when Porzingis has been out there all season. But I think he kind of paced himself and he started trying to force it a little bit. But I just think they were just so good that even him having, what was it, 6 for 16 or whatever it wasn't enough to cause his team to lose. But we'll see how his approach is going forward. He's always had great games against the Mavericks. They couldn't stop him at all. And, you know, they tripled and doubled. Maybe that's why they did triple team him tonight, because they knew they couldn't stop him before, so that was their strategy. I'm pretty sure they won't go to that in game two because they got burnt by everybody else getting them. I can see them play him the way the Celtics played Luka. Play him one-on-one. Let's try and put clamps on everybody else. And if he beats us, he beats us. So I can see Tatum getting a big number, but I don't know how it's going to affect the team outcome if that's the case come game two.
I just feel like game one is exactly what we all thought. You know, we've watched this team all year. We watched them dice through everybody through the playoffs. And we respect Dallas, right, for what they did. Luka Doncic is a planet player, and clearly Kyrie is back to his offensive game. Mm-hmm. But quite frankly, they don't have third and fourth scorers or even any secondary scoring, which is why the Celtics defense was elite tonight. Let me give you a few numbers here. The Mavs scored 42 first-half points. It was their second fewest all season and a half. Their 89 points tied for the fourth fewest of the season. Their season low this year was 86 points. The Celtics also had 9 blocks. Dallas had 6 assists, right? Or no, 9 assists on the night. That's as many blocks as Dallas did. And Kyrie Irving led the Mavs in the assist column. Go figure with 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's considering Luka's a walking triple-double. And, you know, he's like Jokic. He just ends the night with these crazy stat lines. But to take that away means you shut everybody else down, or you made him. Luka was making the right pass, but the Celtics rotation was so good, he'd make that pass, that guy look wide open, and you see them close out on him hard. So that the guy had to either put the ball on the floor, or he had to swing it to somebody else. And you know they don't give out the hockey assists in the NBA, but Luka wasn't getting that number. Nobody was getting the assists. It always led to 5 seconds on the shot clock, somebody going ISO, you know, or fouled or something like that, and Celtics would get the rebound. But they were rotating so good they was able to trap Luka, get the ball in his hands. He swing it, get on that guy, catch the next swing man, back to Luka. Now he's one-on-one, or Kyrie taking a tough shot, repeat. And that's good team effort. And one thing I will say about the Celtics, we've said about them all season, is they kind of take their foot off the gas in some games. They didn't tonight. They went cold, but they never stopped playing defense.
Agree.
I think this series, this is what they put the team together for. This is what they wanted all season, was this series. Not so much Dallas, but to get to the finals. That was their goal. I don't see them at any point in this series. I don't care if it goes 7. I don't see them letting up defensively and showing a lack of effort like they did against Miami in stretches or even Indiana or Cleveland. I don't see them having those lapses defensively like you've seen in other series or throughout the season. I think they stay on the gas defensively against Dallas this whole series.
I can't see Dallas winning 4 out of 6. Like the next 6 games, can they take 4 of them? I don't.
Yeah,
it's
a tough spot.
I just don't. And I'm gonna look up the series price coming up in just a little bit. Let's talk to Ricky. He's in Plymouth. Hey, Ricky.
Hey, Joe. So I thought the biggest play of the game was when Dallas cut it to 8. Drew Holiday took, I think, P.J. Washington down to the low post and drew a foul, got to the foul line, and kind of stopped Dallas's momentum. It was such a veteran move. I mean, he had a tremendous game tonight, Drew Holiday. Another thing, I'd like to see Jayson Tatum start his offense below the foul line instead of 25 feet from the basket. You know, if I was Jayson Tatum, I said, please watch the Bernard King documentary. And he doesn't have any really go-to moves, pet moves, they used to call them. He's so much more effective below the foul line. And that's really all I got.
All right, appreciate it. You know what's funny? There was this offense. I was talking to Skaz about it during the game. There was this offense tonight where, you know how they, 4 corners, you 1-5-1 low, whatever we used to call it back in the day. No, they run 4 across. So they put Porzingis on the left post, let's call it, and then they just have 4 guys across, 2 right at the foul line, and then 2 on the other wing right there, and then they just throw it in to Porzingis, and nobody on Dallas played defense. They just let it go right into him, and Porzingis just kind of
turn around and shot it.
I don't know if you saw one of the moves though. He did like the pivot, put the ball over the guy's head. He was looking for it, then dribble. I loved it. He was great, but he was a matchup problem coming off the bench tonight. It was like deer in headlights. Jason Kidd, new coach. That's what I took out of this one. Like, Mazzulla's been to a final before. Granted, he was a second-row guy, right? Or third-row coach, whatever it was. And he even said he didn't really have a big part of that final. But he did say that, oh, yeah, we lost in the got out-rebounded, lost in the margins. He was the one who brought up all the margins that they lost. Yeah. Those are the things that he cares about all year, that he stresses constantly. And I think that's where they won the game tonight. I don't think Dallas, their coaching, their defense, or anything was ready for that.
No, there's nothing they can do. Once Porzingis got going, you can see that Jason Kidd had to scramble. They had 9 days to get ready for this. 9 days, and they were lost in the first quarter. They had to scrap their whole game plan and strategy. Gafford and Lively were being talked about like they were the Twin Towers. They were Duncan and David Robinson. They were Akeem and Ralph Sampson. That's the way they were being talked about for a week. After the first quarter, they said, we can't do this. It's not going to work. And you saw, like you said, Porzingis had that elbow. It was a guard on him. Then it was Derrick Jones. He toying with him. Each guy tried to flop, too, every time he hit the shot. You see one guy grab his knee. The other guy grabbed his stomach like Porzingis was kicking him or something. And he got fouled on a couple of them, too. They didn't call it, but he was making those shots. But the difference between the Celtics and, let's say, Minnesota, when it was Karl Anthony Towns in that position, whoever was defending Rudy Gobert or Slow-Mo Anderson was creeping over and helping. So they couldn't do that against Porzingis. So he was left one-on-one, 15 feet from the basket, and there was nothing Dallas can do about it. They're that much stronger, that much better. And to the caller's point, he is absolutely right. Holiday went to the basket, got fouled. Holiday posted to P.J. Washington again, got a reverse layup. Tatum drove to the basket, got a layup. He missed another one, but they got the putback dunk. Jaylen Brown went to the basket, took a hard foul to the chest. He got a couple free throws out of that. Tatum went to the line to the paint again. He got popped, didn't get the foul, but they got the putback. Holiday did it, set the tone, and it was like a parade to the paint, and they all followed. That's one of the things you mentioned earlier in the show. What's different here? That's different. They didn't do that last year. They didn't do that against Golden State. They're doing it now, and they're all they're feeding off each other, and they're playing like veterans. And it's hard to beat when you have that many guys on the same page, and it was pretty dominant to see tonight.
Skaz, you did your write-up for 98.5thesportsup.com. Any other takeaways we haven't mentioned, or anything you agree or disagree with, or did you see anything wrong tonight?
Yeah, I mean, the third quarter was definitely a concern. I think maybe halftime adjustment, something to look for going forward, but they rebounded, and we've said it time and time again this season. That's the biggest difference with this team compared to Celtics teams in the past. And just, yeah, Tatum wasn't great, but I bet he will be, one of the next games, and, Brown will be off, or Porzingis won't look as good as he is tonight, and that's what we've kind of said all year, is that's the difference with this Celtics team, is it's not one guy, it's 5, it's 6 guys. Horford wasn't great tonight. I thought he shot a few too many threes, but they win by 20. It's game 1 of the finals. I'd like to see the third quarter not happen. I thought there were some mental lapses in that quarter, but all in all, I mean, a pretty professional win by the Celtics tonight. They took care of business. Mavs clawed to get back into the game, 8 points. We mentioned it numerous times, and the Celtics just wouldn't let them get any closer. Holiday was great, and Tatum, Brown, Horford, Porzingis, all those guys hit shots at the end of the third, at the end of the fourth, or not even at the end of the fourth, like midway through the fourth to extend the lead. So, yeah, it was just all around, I thought, a really, really good win.
All right, you can check out Skaz's recap. It's at 98.5thesportsup.com. You can go check that out. So, Rome Battles here. I'm Joe Murray. We're here till 1 a.m. tonight. We continue to take your calls and whatever else. We're waiting to hear from Kyrie Irving. What do you have to say after tonight? We'll do that coming up next.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. More Joe Murray. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Over the past few years, just experiencing the playoffs here, even regular season, it's been the same thing. I thought it was going to be a little louder in here, but I'm expecting the same things going into game 2. Crowd trying to get me out of my element, my teammates out of my element. But again, the energy's got to be focused towards the game.
We're looking at each other like, has Kyrie even done anything tonight? So it's funny, Sean Grandy a couple of times during the broadcast tonight said that if Kyrie just hit his shots, it would have been a much closer game. And maybe that is the case. Looking at it, he was 6 for 19 from the field and went 0 for 5 from downtown. So I guess if he hits 2 of those, it's, maybe a 3-possession, 2-possession game. So I think you could look at it tonight and say Kyrie Irving's bad shooting night was a big reason why the Celtics were able to get out to that big start and get away with a 107-89 win.
Yeah, I mean, on the flip side, if Tatum was hitting his shots, the game would have been a 40-point game.
Yeah, that's one narrative. We've been talking about that for a while. Once he finally starts shooting, what are they going to look like?
Yeah, it'd be real ugly. He's in cruise control right now, and they're 13-2 in the playoffs. But it's you can't say they ain't playing a good team no more either. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Kyrie can have a better game. I mean, would they lose by 18 points? He had 12. Okay, give him another 16, they still lose. But I mean, he's gonna have those nights. We've said this before. They have to be perfect. Luka and Kyrie have to be flawless. For them not only to win, for them to be in the game, they got to be flawless. Now you need you need them to give you 60 combined. Plus you need a third guy to have a great night. A efficient night. Not just great, but you need Derek Jones to hit a bunch of threes. You need PJ Washington to be money in those corners. To go with Kyrie and Luka having amazing nights. And if Kyrie is not perfect or if Luka's not perfect, they're going to struggle. And again, if they better figure it out fast before the Celtics have a perfect night shooting the ball, and they didn't tonight. But it's just Kyrie. This is who he's been since he stopped on Lucky and sprayed the sage all over the building. 0-11. I think he's averaging like 19 a game and shooting 40%. He hasn't gone off against this team in years. Not as game here in years. He hasn't gone off on this team. And I don't expect him to. They know him. They played with him. They know what he likes to do. Tatum and Brown grew up watching him. They know everything he likes to do. So everything he do is hard. It's forced. Al Horford has played this guy in series before, even going back to his Hawks days. They know the moves he's going to make. Blocking them is one thing, but everything Kyrie threw up was so contested except for a couple open threes off missed rebounds or stuff like that. But it's going to be hard for him to really get going and get hot in this series. And look, he can say all he wants about the fans. The fans bother him. They get under his skin. That place was loud tonight. It's as loud as it's been all season. And yeah, he was having off nights. He was thinking about it. He was over there smirking when they were down 25. That's him. That's that nervous grin. They get under his skin, and they always have. If they didn't bother him, he wouldn't be trying to sneak fingers to the crowd behind his head inbounding the ball. He's thinking about it, and you can see it in the results. He's not having hot games against his team, and I don't see it happening, at least not in Boston anytime soon.
Got something on that, Skaz?
Yeah, just to Saron's point, obviously Kyrie wasn't great tonight, but the fact that that's like his go-to in the press conference, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know about the crowd being in his head?
Exactly.
Like if he wasn't worried about it, he doesn't mention it. But no, it was like one of the first things he said in his press conference.
I thought he just sucked.
Yeah, he was bad. And whether that's the crowd or not, it's not going to get any better. He's going to have to deal with it, and maybe he plays better in Dallas. I mean, it would be tough for him to play worse. So
I'll tell you this: if you know how we talked about the draft and who would you take first or whatever, Luka was really the only good player on their team. The rest of them were all Celtics tonight.
Yeah, not even close.
Like for real, and I don't even know where you put Kyrie on that list.
It's not even close. And again, there's a lot of major networks in this country were putting out stuff saying Kyrie was better than Tatum and Brown.
Best number 2 of all time.
What happened to Derek Lively tonight? I thought he was going to be the X factor of the series.
Great. Yeah.
Should have fouled out in the first a quarter and a half.
He should have. There was a couple fouls they didn't call on Tatum where they were pretty blatant, but they didn't call him on Lively because I think they were kind of like, man, you're going to be gone before you get to halftime. They kind of did him a solid. But yeah, he was supposed to be a big factor. Gafford was supposed to be unbelievable. Once you took the lobs away, they were just regular dudes. And just like, oh, I see why you were playing for the Hornets. It's like, oh, it makes sense now. Like, oh, you're just a regular guy that just catches alley-oops every now and then, but you're not a real offensive threat. But the Celtics have a better team. Kyrie and Luka are good players, but the drop-off after them is so drastic, and they don't play team basketball. It's like I mentioned, like the Pacers do. So you get exposed and the Celtics have played them 3 times this season, and I'm pretty sure in all 3 games they had a 20-point lead at one point. You are who you are. The matchup are the matchups. There's nothing you can really do about it. There's no real strategy you can come up with to make Luka and Kyrie great defenders on the perimeter to change your whole outlook. So they're in some trouble. They're in trouble, but they need a monster night from Luka or Kyrie or both in order for them to win a game in this series.
Pat is in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Hey, cue up the Gino. We keep on dancing. Yeah, let's fucking. Oh, I didn't
damn
swear.
it, I can't swear, bro. We almost made it.
He almost got it.
We had the extended coverage, and we.
He only had 13 minutes left. It was right so close.
I know. People want the Gino, though. It was good. Chris wants to pay us some flowers. What's up, Chris?
Hey, guys. I just wanted to give, Cerrone credit, Joe, your credit on the radio, and Mark Dondero, I know he's not on the show, but he deserves a lot of credit for his takes on Twitter. You guys nailed it. You nailed your takes on the series. I know it's only one game, but what exactly, as you guys said, is how I felt. And I just don't see how this matches up well. I heard all on national radio, national TV, how Dallas is so big, they're going to dominate the paint. How'd that go for you? Jason, I don't know if anyone remembered, but Jayson Tatum's like 6'8", 6'9". He can cover the paint too. So
yeah,
I think Celtics are winning this game easily.
All right, Chris, appreciate it. He sounded like he had a few.
It's a good point though with Tatum. People forget if you actually lined up all the Celtics, the only players I think taller than Jayson Tatum is Porzingis and Cornet. He's a big dude, and you've seen it with his dominance on the glass all playoffs, all postseason. Dominant on the defensive glass, getting in paint, challenging shots. Tatum has been their power forward for most of this playoffs and kind of a point forward for them in some stretches. But as far as the Mavs bigs, they hyping them up as these great bigs, but this might be the weakest set of bigs they've played all playoffs. First round, you had Bam Adebayo. Second round, you had Evan Mobley. The third round, you had Miles Turner and Siakam. Now it's like you got Lively and Gafford. They feel like, oh, man, this is light work. This is the easier of the – yes, those other teams don't have the big names, but position by position, Bam, Miles Turner, Siakam, and Evan Mobley, those are all-star level players. Gafford and Lively out on that level, and you saw the difference tonight. Jason Kidd couldn't keep them out on the court, and he tried to put Kleber out there. Kleber's got a bad shoulder. Talk about he feels pain when he shoots threes. They don't have any other options, and that's what I mean by there's not much strategy or coaching that Jason Kidd can do to get his team ready to play the Celtics in Game 2. There's just some mismatches just so lopsided.
All right, our final call of the night comes from the island of Hawaii, Mahalo. And aloha, Matt. How are you, sir?
Aloha. I think I might go to the airport soon in Honolulu and maybe catch a flight back for the parade. I don't know what date to book, though.
Yeah, you could take a boat, but I don't know. Maybe you get there by who knows?
Oh, you got to go through the Panama Canal, and that's the whole thing down there,
How was it? How was the national broadcast in Hawaii?
Yeah, it was the same broadcast you all watched.
We had the radio, but yeah, go ahead. What do you think? You got a conspiracy?
I don't really have a conspiracy. It's just, what a smoke show by the Celtics when it comes to injuries. And this time, we finally came out on the right end. I mean, there is no way he was not ready at least a series ago. That was a better looking Porzingis than we saw before the playoffs started. So I don't know what's going on with that, but
you think it was a smoke screen and they had everybody?
Well, it kind of looked like it to me. And I mean, there was conspiracy theories, and I heard Felger and Maz today say, well, if he's playing possum, he's playing possum. That was possum. Because that was not 50%, that was not 75%, that was 95% Kristaps Porzingis.
Well, Matt, if you're watching on YouTube, I am wearing my Y&I shirt.
I did watch earlier, and I appreciate you for giving me the link.
There you go. Yes, we're on YouTube. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you. All the way in Hawaii, we got people out there, Cerrone. We're in different area codes.
Hey,
the Celtics are worldwide right now, I think.
Green Nation. Listen, I mean, Porzingis, if he was playing possum and is 100%, he would have played more than 20 minutes. I think you saw stretches of him being good. He was really good for a good stretch, but then it was kind of non-factor for a lot of that game. Peak Porzingis was he would go on those kind of runs late in fourth quarters and push games from 10 to 25, late in games. You know, you saw him do it against the Knicks earlier in the season. You know, if you're seeing him around 35, 40 minutes, and you know he's in good space, good shape, he's ready to go. But he played limited minutes. They said he didn't have a minutes restriction, but he only gave you 20 minutes. He did all that damage in a quarter and a half, really. But I think if he was at 100%, he would have been out there more. And I think they wouldn't have been sweating those games against the Pacers if they knew they had this guy out there. They could have just thrown out there and blown the Pacers out. So I think he needed every minute of that rest. I think he actually was hurt. But I think he shocked himself. I think he shocked everybody. If they knew he was that good, they would have started him. Put it like that. If they knew he was 100%, they would have came out and punched the Mavs in the teeth in the first minute of that game. But I think he was kind of shocked himself, shocked the team. But the real thing, like Max said at his broadcast at the end, let's see how he feels after tomorrow morning going forward. If he's fresh and ready to go game 2, then that's all you really need. Give him 25 minutes of that, what we saw tonight, and I think they'll be well on their way to a championship.
All right, a couple more minutes here before we say goodbye to everybody. So they asked Jason Kidd after the game, you know, hey, what any positives for tonight? And he goes, well, we won the fourth quarter. And we're going to be on this Sunday together. I know that before we're like the pregame show before the Celtics this Sunday. But what kind of message is that? Hey, we won the fourth quarter. Like, are they just looking for something good heading into game 2?
At this point, yeah. I mean, what else you going to point to? What else you going to say? I think they won the third quarter too, but it didn't matter. I mean, what else are you going to say? What are you going to do? I mean, he's got a lot. He's got the most work to do of anybody in that organization over the next 2 or 3 days. It's all on Jason Kidd now to figure out a way to generate offense and figure out a way to keep his guards from getting cooked at the point of attack up top. That's just leading to Celtics getting wide open threes and wide open layups that they missed a lot of them tonight, but those shots are going to keep being there if if Luka and Kyrie continue to be matadors at the top of the defense. So he's got a lot of work to do, and I don't want to be that man the next 2 or 3 days.
All right, Cerrone Battle, great job tonight, man. I know I'll catch up with you this Sunday, but the game 2 on Sunday here on 98.5 The Sports Hub. So, thanks, guys. Thanks, George. I'm Joe Murray. We're back here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Thanks, Cerrone, as well, here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.